Yay. Hello, I am your host, Willie Bragg. Welcome to another edition of the Willie Bragg Show. Yes, everything is working. It was just a little bit of delay. I was taking a look at the Rumble and still trying to figure that out. So my apologies to you all. How are you doing today? I am doing fine. I wanted to do a live stream, talk about the Maui fires. And, there's a saying, history repeats itself. History don't necessarily repeats itself. Let me correct that. History doesn't necessarily repeats itself, but it has a tendency to rhyme. So, and that's what we're seeing right now. And what do I mean by that? Well, essentially, what I mean by that is the sequence of events. Because the saying goes that the more things supposedly change, the more things remains the same. And we see right now what, remember 20 years ago, I as I said many times, that the George W. Bush presidency in my lifetime was one of the worst events ever. I mean, and this was a low bar. I mean, when you think of Nixon, you think of Ford, you think of George Bush the first, you think of Bill Clinton, you think of Barack Obama, you think of Donald Trump, you think of Joe Biden. It's a low bar, with George W. Bush being the worst of the worst, which I will reluctantly have to say Jimmy Carter being barely admirable. And again, all that is a low bar for, having that said. But, George W. Bush came in under suspicious circumstances. His presidency, I never thought was legitimate. And to this day, you'll never convince me that his presidency was legitimate. With the Secretary of State down in Florida and connections with the family, with the governor, all in the same party, related to the Bushes, and a Reagan-Bush-packed Supreme Court that what essentially happened was that George W. Bush was appointed as president in there. Now, I don't like Al Gore. Never did like Al Gore. I still don't like Al Gore. You'll never get me to like Al Gore. And what made that ticket so an abysmal in the year 2000 was his running mate, Joe Lieberman, which was even worse than Al Gore. So, and then you match that with George W. Bush and Dick Cheney, and I would say that no matter who would have won in that election, you would have still had the same crap for 8 years. But we had 9/11 happen, and then we had the Afghanistan invasion, and then the Iraq War, and we had a clampdown on civil liberties at home. You had the Patriot Act. You had basically the government, a government that wanted to spy on you. You had political prisoners that were sent to Guantanamo Bay, that were being tortured. And there were people out there that actually thought, oh, this was fine and everything. We had a lot of problems here in the United States that were being neglected. We had creeping gas prices that were out of control. And what did? They cared nothing about those gas prices, but creeping up. The very same people who say, well, Biden is the reason why the gas prices are high today. Well, they didn't care when we had inflation in the gas pump when George W. Bush was president. I don't care who's president. When the gas prices goes up, that's a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing that's going on right now. And I know that Biden isn't doing his quote unquote best in that regard. So I got no love for Biden. Believe me, I have no love for him. And it is refreshing to know that the Democratic Party seems to have no love for him, but the Democratic Party is not where it's at either. Because, what they did to, even though I am mad at Bernie, they did, the Democratic Party did, they did some fuckery against him twice in 2016 and 2020. No need to go into detail. You know what I'm talking about. Let's enter 2005, Hurricane Katrina. Now with Hurricane Katrina that took place, the response was pretty shitty of the federal government. Now, I know that some liberals said that there was racism involved. Maybe, but I think it was more to do with the people were poor, and our government just don't care about poor people, which is why I'm bringing up Hurricane Katrina before I bring up Maui. There's a lot of neglect and just a lot of just disregard, and a lot of people moved out of the Louisiana to go elsewhere because of what happened. Their lives were significantly altered for the worse down in Louisiana. So a lot of people moved out of that area. And I have always kind of wanted to visit New Orleans, but apparently the culture of the city would be changed forever for what I've heard about it all and everything. So it is what it is. So that's what I have to say and all that. So let me just enter into what happened with a lot of the problems that we had at that time. So we had our domestic problems of the Hurricane Katrina and the problems that it caused. Add on top of that what was going on in the Middle East with an expensive war in the Middle East, the Iraq war, the Afghan invasion, occupation, all that was costing trillions of dollars in our treasury. And when Obama, who is no great president at all by any stretch of the imagination, getting unfairly blamed for the debt that the United States suffered during his 8 years in power, seems to forget where that debt came from. It came from a culmination of things, of just the irresponsible spending of war abroad, but also a military-industrial complex here in the United States that works with the deep state to get whatever the hell they want, and the needs of the people in America comes next, or it's like down the list if it's even there at all. And that's just just typical of how we do things here in the United States. And and it boggles me how George W. Bush walks around as a free man when he should be behind bars for what he did. Same with Dick Cheney. Same with many people in that administration. So let's talk about the recent events of the Maui fires. Over 100 people that died, and look at the places that was unscathed afterwards. The wealthy areas of Maui untouched. I don't want to be a conspiracy nut or anything like that, but it was untouched. And the places filled with the poor and the middle class and the ordinary income people went ablaze. And what is the U.S. response? A $700 check. $24 billion went to the Ukraine. I want you all to think about that for a second. Let that sink into your mind right now. I want you to let that sink into your mind, because in America, we had a population that was being harmed by the hurricane. Excuse me, by the fire over there. And what does this guy do? He decides more money goes to a corrupt government in the Ukraine. Again, do I need to tell you about this government in the Ukraine? This President Volodymyr Zelensky's government, a government that basically suspended elections, banned 13 political parties, banned collective bargaining, banned the Russian Orthodox Church, pretty much banned the Russian language, has engaged in ethnic cleansings against ethnic Russians in the Donbass region since 2014, has treated LGBTQ people far worse than what's been reported in Russia, and nobody ever mentions that. It's terrible how they're treated in Russia, but it's terrible how they're treated in Eastern Europe. But in the Ukraine, they're treated far worse. That never gets mentioned, but I'm going to mention it. This sort of thing. And then you have celebrations of Stepan Bandera, a man who collaborated with Hitler. And some of the soldiers are wearing Nazi insignias and, doing Hitler salutes, and they're paying homage to fascist imagery. And if anybody here in the United States calls out all this out about the Ukraine, we're called pro-Russia assets and sympathizers and the alt left and God knows what else they want to call us, who are whistleblowing against what's going on. $24 billion. Can you imagine what $24 billion? We can't afford things here in the United States, but we can afford $24 billion that's paying for the Social Security pension systems in the Ukraine. Now, I'm for their Social Security and their pension systems being solvent and secure. And while I'm not a quote unquote nationalist, it would be nice if we could have in a meaningful way, not in a reactionary, bigoted way. If you want to do America first, let's do America first for a change. Let's do America first for a change. Let's make sure that we have living wage jobs here with these instead of giving billions to Ukraine or billions to Saudi Arabia, billions to Israel, billions to other corrupt governments around the world. Instead of doing that, let's take these billions, let's provide jobs and housing. Let's work to create a national healthcare system that basically covers every man, woman, and child based on need, not on how much they got in their wallet, but the fact that they're sick and they need medical attention, that they get it with no ifs, ands, or buts, no questions. All they have to do is flash a card at the medical facility or at the doctor. They're taken care of. Why can't we do that here? To work on free college, to actually repair our environment. I used to say jobs for all. I still say jobs for all, but make those jobs green jobs for all. These sort of things. You could take the billions that we are giving in other countries, Biden, and invest it here in this country. Now, you did a tweet the other day. I remember reading a tweet last night. And I was so upset when I saw that tweet. And if I can find it, I will share it with you all, what he said on that tweet. And it's just typical of what he would do, which is why you will never see me voting for Biden. Doesn't mean I love Trump. Doesn't mean I love DeSantis. I don't, and I don't. I will never vote Republican. Make that clear. Make that very clear. Having that said, and I'm going to tell you, and I responded to this. I forwarded this tweet to everybody on Twitter, and I will tell you what was said here. And let me go ahead and try to find it, and I will tell you what it said. All right, I'm going to do this here, and let's see. Does it actually say? I hope y'all can see the tweet. It's blurry on my side, but when I go and relook at the video, it usually looks clearer than that. So let's go ahead and pop it up. It should show up well. I guess good enough. Okay. Biden said in his original tweet, and I'll go put this down. I think climate. When I think of climate, I think jobs, good paying union jobs. When I think climate, I think jobs, good paying union jobs. Okay, now I want you to realize what I said to Biden. I know he didn't listen to me, but I said this. I rejected both Hillary Clinton in 2016 and Joe Biden in 2020 and gave my vote to the Green Party of the U.S. because I support good paying union jobs. In 2024, I'll be voting for the Greens again. Cornel West supports good paying union jobs. Both Democrats and Republicans are anti-union. Where is the lie in that? There is no lie in that. I will never vote for anybody in the two-party system because to participate in the two-party system is to participate in a crony capitalist order. And these crony capitalists, they just gives us nothing but culture war. I was on the secret show last night. With Warren, Uncle Warren, Jimi Sunderland, who I will be co-hosting with on Bragglands on September 1st. Jerry Volato and Ed Heller from Chicago Corner, was the 69 episode program, and we were having a nice chat about this, that, and the other, and Jerry was saying from Chicago Corner that the problem, they like to divide us all. They do. They like to divide us all with these culture wars, and we forget about everything else. And what happens? We all lose, and we all have a little bit less money in our pocket. We all have a little less power and a little less democracy in the workplace, and our healthcare gets a little bit more expensive, and income and inequality is more enhanced. None of those words that were said, but that's pretty much how it was translated last night. And this is why, as I say a lot on this program, we can't have nice things. So that's where we're at here in the United States right now. And I just want you to think about what I said there and all of that. So with the Maui fires that are taking place, instead of compensating the people that lost their property, which I think they're entitled to. They should have everything that they lost restored back to them. That's not going to happen because that's just not the way our politicians run. So you're going to have land developers and all of these people, real estate goons, buying up this place really cheap and then going to make the place more gentrified. And that seems to be the way. And if you're poor and you're middle class, you're dispensable. You're to be tossed aside. And we sit there and we take it. Why do we take it, folks? Why do we take this shit all the time? And we get mad about. We get overly angry about the wrong things, and then things that we need to be angry about, we just get ourselves easily distracted. We get ourselves distracted over a Dylan Mulvaney commercial about Bud Ice, who she's not bothering a damn soul selling Bud Ice. We get distracted over a song about "Do Not Try That in a Small Town" by Jason Aldean. I'm not a country music fan, and I think that Jason Aldean's music is retarded. But are you going to get triggered over Jason Aldean? I mean, this is what America's been reduced to this is what the United States has been reduced to. And as we're all getting triggered from across the board, America remains the last industrialized democracy not to have universal health care. We have a non-existent union movement, meaning no democracy at the workplace, meaning that we still have stagnating and declining wages. It means that, and all that means that leave it to Beaver, father knows best, my three sons, middle class life that a lot of social conservatives want America to live by. And it's not entirely negative. The nice house with the picket fence and the 2-car garage with the pleasant families and everything. That's not a negative picture. But here's the thing. How are you going to achieve that when you have the economic system rigged against every man and woman and child in this country, where where a living wage is deprived at every opportunity. And that's what this neoliberal order is, this Reagan Thatcher order that's been bestowed upon us for the last 40 years or longer. Yeah, we'll say 50 years. We'll add Pinochet's Chile, because Pinochet was the monster model, and it was the monster appetizer that Reagan and Thatcher decided to impose on a democracy called the United States and a democracy called Great Britain. And they want, and people that follow that model would like to see the United States, like, they basically want to see the United States be a Protestant Chile. Is what they would like to see. So the thing about it is we got to realize that it's a class struggle. And you can look at the Maui fires, and you can look at Hurricane Katrina, and I know there are well-meaning people that will say it's not an issue of left and right. It's an issue of up and down, bottom and up. It is bottom and up. But I'm going to insist it's left and right. But you got to convince people on the right. I'm talking, because not all left are alike, and not all right are alike. But people who are being strung to the right, defending the forces of capital, realize that they're not on your side. That they're not on your side. And it's, again, when I say the forces of capital, I'm speaking in the most broad terms. I am. But what I'm basically saying is, people who don't agree needs to work together to realize that we need to go and to reclaim everything for the common man and woman in this country, because those on top, an oligarchy, the 1%, the super wealthy, they're not on our side, and they like to divide us. They like to divide us, and we need to not let them divide us. So that's what I got to say. Now, some quick announcement before I go. I'm on Rumble, as you can see. It looks like I'm on Rumble according to here. And we got on the chat line on Rumble, because I'm not ignoring anybody here. Today we got Polish Gun. Most politicians, especially Democrats, are about taking, most politicians, but especially Democrats, are about taking the people and enriching themselves. Well, I'm not a Democrat, for starters, and I'm willing to agree with you there, but we'll say Democrats and Republicans, because that's what I think it comes down to, is Democrats and Republicans. That's a great song. You must be talking about Try That in a Small Town. All subjective. I'm not getting triggered by the song. It's my point. That is my point. I think that those who are progressive, who are getting uptight about it. Oh, that song! I feel threatened by this song. It's a song. It's a song. They're even having a connection over Anthony Oliver, whatever the hell his name, the redheaded guy with a beard. It's even a sillier reason for lefties to get uptight over Richmond, north of Richmond, or whatever the heck it's called at the time. I don't know the name of the song, but I think you probably know what the song I'm referring to. To get uptight over that particular song, it's ridiculous. I mean, you can interpret it as a conservative or right-leaning song. I don't care if it is. You can interpret it as a lefty anti-establishment protest song. It's okay either way. I don't care one way or the other. I have a little more respect for Anthony Oliver. The style of the music is a little more authentic than Jason Aldean, and again, nothing to do with the politics, just the style of the music that he offers in country music is just, even if he was preaching that instead of let's try that in the small towns, the name of the song could have been like we need a Bernie Sanders for president in the year 2020. I don't know how the song go, but my point is, if he could have sang that as a title, and again, it wouldn't have been in my style, and that's my point I'm trying to make. So there's an apolitical critique I have of Jason Aldean as well. So if I'm going to listen to country music, I'm going to listen to something a little more old school, like I'll listen to Hank Williams or Johnny Cash or something like that. I'm not trying to be snobby. I'm just saying I would prefer something a little more older and traditional in that regard. It's just a stylistic preference, it doesn't make me wrong or right or better or worse, just a stylistic preference. We all have ours, So Rich Man North of Richmond, another great song. Yeah, I'm a little more tolerant of Rich Man north of Richmond than I am try that in a small town. I'm a little more open-minded. But getting back to what I'm saying, that was on the chat line, and there's nobody on the chat line here on the YouTube Twitch side of things. But anyway, suffice to say, the quick announcement. September 1st, Bragglands, co-hosted by Jimi Sunderland and myself, will be premiering, and we'll have a Rumble channel set up. We have a YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is on the description box below. Have a Twitter channel profile on the description box below as well. In addition, also she does the graphics for my show, so be sure to follow her on Twitch and YouTube, especially because Jimi Sunderland, she wants to raise her profile too on this online space. So be sure to do that as well. On Tuesday, I'll be interviewing two people. At 12 noon, I will be interviewing Jen Perlman, who's the host of Generational Change. She was the insurgent left-wing Democrat in the 23rd Congressional District in Florida that challenged Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who was the congresswoman in the DNC, one of the cheats that was cheating against Bernie Sanders. Jen Perlman is an independent, but she ran in that particular primary, and she's on this online left space, and I like her show, Generational Change. I'll also be interviewing that a couple hours later at 4 p.m. Dolores Pierce, who's the host of Around the World with Dees and Friends, and who does work she's a journalist who deals with issues on foreign policy and imperialism of our empire, and we'll have a discussion on that as well. So right now, I'm going to go and sign off, and let me just say that if you like what you heard, please press like and comment. Comment any way you disagree with what I have to say. We will have a conversation. Feel free to share the content on this channel as a First Amendment absolutist. And when I say as a First Amendment absolutist, that's my speech. That's a speech of people that I disagree with. And we need to be there to defend everybody's free speech. That is the easiest thing in the world, to defend the free speech we're all for. Nothing controversial about that. It takes guts to defend the free speech, a speech we may disagree with, and even furthermore, speech that we may even despise. But as a free speech absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it, because we are, in fact, the muckrakers of our time. Be sure to subscribe to this channel here on YouTube, Twitch, Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. And always reject corporate media. And when I define corporate media, I mean the three major networks: ABC, NBC, CBS. I mean CNN, MSNBC. I mean Fox. I mean Newsmax. I mean them all across the board. Just reject it. Get your alternative media. Get it from independent sources as much as possible. Whatever political direction it leans on, just go and get independent news that's not backed by corporate dollars, because you're going to probably find more truth digging in there than you are in areas with a corporate spin. And so that's my message to everyone here today. So until next time, I am Willie Bragg, and I will see you all later. And I will say, enjoy Ken Arrow. He does the theme song and the outro theme for the show. And we're going to try to get him on the show here as soon as possible. So take care. Bye-bye.